Hi, everybody, and welcome back to It's Never Too Late to Date. We're the dating channel about dating after the age of 60. And today we have a guest who is going to be talking about the mindset for dating. And it's really, really important. You don't want to miss this. And want to introduce Kaelyn Cochran, and she is with Live Your Clever Life Coaching. And I think she's got some great stuff to share that will help you. So many times I hear comments from people who don't, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that. And all of it's coming from fear and not coming from, a mindset that is positive, and your expectations need to be positive when you go into the dating world. But first, I want to introduce Kaelyn and have her tell you a little bit about herself.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here today. Yes, so like you said, I am a certified life and leadership coach. I mainly focus on life and mindset coaching. So, like you said, mindset is very important in your daily life and, of course, in your dating life. So, we'll talk about that. Essentially, what I do at Live Your Clever Life is I help anyone struggling with confidence or self-limitation, negative self-talk, really anything under the
Exactly.
sun there. And in addition to that, anyone looking to change the way that they currently live or that they currently do things to kind of align better with a life that they do want. So that's my
Awesome.
focus. Some of the things that I do within that space, I do one-on-one coaching, team workshops. I recently did a team workshop with a leadership team of a couple different fitness studios, and we talked through different confidence mindsets, mindset for growth, leadership, communication, community engagement, and accountability, that type of stuff. I also have some online courses that are for sale, as well as an upcoming podcast that'll be up by the end of this month. And then I also have an upcoming online community. So anyone who's looking for a space to go to really reinforce that strong mindset, I will have that ready shortly. So do
Perfect.
a little bit of
Perfect.
everything.
Awesome. So, what would you say to someone who is saying right now, well, she's young and, she's got a lot of life to live, and this mindset is really important to her, but I'm 60 plus, and, you know, what am I going to do with mindset information?
Yeah. It's funny you say that because that is very common for, certain generations over a certain age where they think, I've done life a certain way, so that's the way that works for me. And I hate to say it, but your timeline is exactly the same as mine. Our lives get done tomorrow. Like we don't have that. So
Exactly.
mindset is very important if you want to enjoy your life. And what I mean by that is if you wake up every day thinking, oh, great, like today's going to be crappy today. No one's going to love me today. I'm not going to find another day of not finding a date. Well, that's probably what's going to happen, right? So you have to be aware of what you're saying to yourself, how you're saying it to yourself. There are so many layers to that self communication. So what I would say is I would challenge you to try something new just for a day, for 3 days, and see how it goes. Because the smallest of changes, the smallest of efforts can actually give you a lot of change. And it sounds silly. It sounds, yeah, whatever. But if you haven't tried it, you can't really confirm it, right? So I always recommend giving it a try. I'm not as young as I look, and you just really never know. So I always recommend it.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys something. So, this is actually my daughter. And she and I have never really talked about this. And we just, as she was growing up, just kind of morphed into a positive person. And I've always tried to be really positive. And it's so exciting and fun. And I'm so proud of her to see what she's doing now in this arena as far as mindset goes. I think that even if have decided you're never going to date again, you don't care, that's fine. But you still have a lot of life to live, and that mindset is going to help you through every area of your life. And it doesn't have to be just about dating. So if you're thinking about clicking off and watching something else, this will help you in every area of your life, not just in the dating area. So, can you give us an example of if someone were to come and talk with you about, say they wanted to start a life coaching session or just a session to make the rest of their life better than what it is right now? What types of thing would you talk to them about?
Yes. So usually that's how I start my coaching, one-on-one relationship with someone is they'll book a 30-minute session with me, and we'll talk over a few basic things. I call them basic, but they're just like simple aspects of your life, usually around 7 to 10 questions. We don't go too crazy deep because it helps me understand what the person wants, where they are now, and where they would like to be eventually. So whether that's in work, in relationships, and just loving yourself more and understanding yourself more, building a better self relationship, whatever that may be. We kind of talk through the different aspects of that. So even down to tell me what you do when you wake up. Like, what's the first thing you reach for? What's the first thing that you do? What's the first thing that you tell yourself? That will tell you a lot about a person and kind of what they are and are not willing to do in the realm of change and effort and all of that stuff. So I learn a lot about them in that 30 minutes to, one, kind of confirm if I'm a good fit for them and what they need, and two, so that I can start formulating kind of that approach with them. I approach it differently for everyone based on their needs. But things that we would cover is, again, like, what does your day-to-day look like? Like, explain to me what your life is right now. Another common one I like to do to kind of flip the script a little bit is ask, what does your ideal day look like? So if you didn't have these issues that you have right now, if you had your dream partner, if you had your dream job, walk me through what your day would look like. And really just getting a perspective shift in the mind of the person that I'm working with. Oftentimes when people come to me, they are struggling with something, or they're fearful of something, or they don't believe in themselves accomplishing something. And we kind of get to the root of that and get the kind of steps in place to get them there anyway. So,
Right, right. Have you found that a lot of people, they look at their past experiences, and if they've had something negative happen in whatever area of life that is, that's where they're the hardest. They're stuck and they can't
yep.
get past that.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. You'll see that a lot. One thing, I also teach indoor cycling classes, and one thing I say a lot is there are 45 minutes of sometimes people perceive as pain, whatever you may be,
Yeah.
but
Yes, it's very
after
painful.
after each push, I will often say, don't carry that with us. Because just because it hurt last time, we
Yeah.
have a brand new one in front of us. It doesn't have to feel the same. So I try to carry that
Yeah.
over. She's laughing because she's
I'm
been to one
I
class 19 years
I
ago,
came
but
down and went to her class,
that was a long
yes.
time ago.
She tried to kill
They're
me.
harder now. They're harder now anyway.
Oh, good to know.
Yes, but I carry that over into my coaching and then just to day-to-day conversations because yes, there's trauma that is in there and there's, a lot of work we need to go through, and other stuff we latch on to it because it's familiar or because like, oh, that song reminds me of that time or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
We
true.
don't have to carry all that with us. And I think being able to release that and continuing on can really be powerful if you're aware that you don't have to carry that stuff with you. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I think the thing that I've noticed in some of the comments that I get on some of the videos is people, at least in my age, they get set in their ways. They've gone through some things, and they are just like, well, this is how it is. I'm gonna
mhm.
just go on and down the road to death, and
Mhm.
just it's easier that way, less painful. Just
Mhm.
cocoon right here where I'm at. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know that's a hard
Well,
thing
and
for people to get through.
it's funny too because within dating and outside of dating, vulnerability is hard for a lot of people because when you're younger, you're basically like conditioned out of vulnerability, not on purpose necessarily, but there's a lot of research done where like kids are playing at the end of the day, right? And they're trying to show their parent, and that parent had a really long day. They dealt with people screaming at them all day, so they snap at their kid when their kid's rejoicing, and that shuts down the kid's ability to do that again later. And so
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
little things like that we don't realize conditioned us to do that. Where if we acknowledge it and go, oh, well, that's why I feel that way. You don't
yeah,
have to continue to carry that. So
yeah, yeah. You understand why you feel that way, and then you realize that maybe that other person was dealing with something. As you get older, you
yes.
figure it out. Yeah,
Well, yep, that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I give to people, especially ones dealing with issues at work or if you deal with a lot of high emotion in your day to day, is the emotion you're met with, it has nothing to do with you most of the
yeah,
time. So if you respond from wherever you're at and not from where the other person is, you'll be surprised at what happens.
yeah, yeah. And some of the videos that I'll be doing in the future are about relationships, not just the dating part, but you're going to date, and at some point you're going to meet somebody, and during that relationship process, we all have a certain things going through our minds during the day, and you can be in a household with the same person and walk by them, and you think they're just not wanting to talk to you. Well, their mind is on something else, doing something else, and you take it personally. Even at this age, you take it personally and not thinking about, well, wait a minute, that probably doesn't have anything to do with me. I'll
Hmm.
just stay out of their way for a while till they figure out what they're working on. And it took me till now to figure that out, which is, I've gotten a little old for
70
that.
years later.
70. Thank you for that English accent. That does make it sound better.
It does.
It does. So anyway, well, I appreciate you coming on. Do you have any, you've got given a lot of tidbits kind of all in what you've talked about. So is there anything you can think of that you haven't mentioned that could be beneficial
Yeah.
um, to someone that is dating or thinking about dating, but a little afraid to do it?
Yeah, I would say that this is applicable here and just across the board. So wherever you are, is confidence will take you a long way, and especially in dating. It doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter how old you are. When you see confidence in someone, it's very natural that you want to go towards them and be drawn towards them.
Right.
Um, and a lot of people today just lack that confidence. It's not anybody's fault by any means. It's not your fault if you don't have confidence, but there are things that you can do to practice it and to kind of flex that muscle a little bit. So
Well,
I'll give a
yeah,
couple
give a
tips.
couple. Yeah.
So one, and this has helped me quite a bit. It helped me get through my coaching training and helped me get through a lot of it, but keeping the promises that you make to yourself. You can start by keeping one small promise. So today, let's say you want to drink more water. Go fill your water and drink more water. It sounds really simple and sounds like, oh, well, what'll that do? It will start to build trust with yourself. If you don't trust yourself, there's no way, shape, or form that you will be confident in yourself. So you have to start to build the self-trust. Number two, and I know that people will be upset about this one, but move your body. And I
Yeah.
mean, stretch, ma'am, stretch, go for walks. I know she goes for a lot of walks, but going for walks, maybe you go to like a local fitness class, maybe it's hot yoga, aerobics, water aerobics, whatever it is, anything that you can do to move your body and early in the day will only give you more good
Makes
energy
a
because
big
energy
difference.
creates energy, right? So you don't have to go do a crazy marathon. You don't have to go run like 15 miles, just move. It doesn't have to be a ton, but it makes a big difference. Posture, she says as she drops her shoulders, posture's big. If you ever meet someone and their arms are crossed and they're leaning and trying to lean back and be away from you, doesn't give off inviting vibes, right? So, last two, speaking kindly to yourself. Now, I've seen some comments on some posts
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
yours, and I can
Yeah.
tell that this is lacking in a lot of people. And it's not something that we're used to doing, mainly because we live in a society that has been built around competition. So we've been conditioned to compete against each other. And if we lose, we're conditioned to shame ourselves, basically. So changing that and being like, you know what, I am fine. Like I am good. I am strong. I am worth the time that I'm giving to myself goes a long way. And if you say, oh, that's stupid or oh, that's silly, it just means you haven't done it enough. And it just means
Right.
you have not tried it. That's all.
Exactly.
That's all that means. So
Yeah.
there's that. And then lastly is take action on something that you've been procrastinating on. Um, that will make a very big difference. As a professional procrastinator, I must get it from the lady on the screen. There
No.
is something that once you break that procrastination like connection, life
Yeah.
gets very simple because you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, I just have to do the thing. If I just do that thing, then all of the weight, all the anxiety, all the pressure, all the stress goes away because the thing is now done.
The thing is
Um,
done.
so
Yeah.
those are my five biggest tips. I do have a bonus one though, and that is to celebrate yourself a little bit more, kind of in line with speaking kindly to yourself. Like if you make a good connection, like celebrate that. You don't have to call them to celebrate it, but you can be like, wow, I feel good about that. Like that
Right.
person's great. I enjoyed our time together. Or you made a good investment, or whatever it is that you did, be okay with celebrating it. It's not egotistical to do that. It's more like, wow, I'm here, I'm doing stuff. And it's okay to acknowledge that and celebrate it a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah. I think that on the procrastination, I think I was probably 60 when I finally took a hold of those things that were scaring me, or they seemed big at the time. And you
Yes.
find out when you do them, you're done. And it didn't take that much time. That effort was way less than what you thought it was going to be. And you feel
Yep.
this big light, this weight off of you, um, once you do take care of those things. And so now
Mhm.
I get up and when I have stuff I've got to do, I take the hardest, or at least what appears to be the hardest task that I
Yep.
have to do all day, and I do it first. And then after that, everything is easy.
Hmm.
So, but it took me a bit to learn that.
And
And
oftentimes the dread is way bigger than the actual bite of the thing that
right,
you have to do. So
exactly. Exactly.
you just never
So
know.
so back to dating, just real quick. So I
Yes.
know that Kaylin met her boyfriend online,
Sure did.
and so she's maybe younger, but the still the same type of a deal that we deal with when you get older. I know that my expectations are a little different at this age, but let's see. So tell your story of how you met Chris, and you know the
Sure.
how you were late and all that stuff. Anyway.
Well, Chris and I have been together for almost 10 years, so we met at a very different stage of our own lives too.
Right, right,
And it's funny because to your point, the only thing that really changes is the expectations, right? There's more baggage that you have to account for. There's more life lived before you, essentially. So there's
right.
more that you have to account for. Um, it was easier, I would say, for us because we were children and we didn't
Yeah.
have a ton to really combat. But because we were younger, a lot of the traumas and things were fresher. So it was easy to get those out of the way and be like, yeah, yes or no. Like, we're doing this or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
What I would say is a couple things I told myself. And I remember this very specifically because I was like, I'm not going on any more dates after this one. I've had it with these last couple have been duds. Like, this is so silly. And I said, just remain open, have a good time,
Good.
see what happens. And
Good.
that's 10 years
Good.
later, here we are, and we have a dog child. So you really just never know.
Yeah.
But regarding expectations, if
Mhm.
you have a list on paper of all the things and attributes that you want that person to have, I highly recommend you crumple it up and throw it away and more seek like values you want them
Yeah.
to have or experiences you want them to have, things that actually will impact your day to day and not like no kids, makes
Yeah.
X amount of money. Like that stuff will not get you where you what you
Right.
need.
Right.
And not rushing, I will say. Especially I know that some people feel that there's a timeline and there's a clock and things that they're racing, so they want to rush to find that person. That can get you in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So being patient with the other person as well as yourself is very important, and being okay with communicating whatever it is that you are feeling. I
Yeah.
think that people get in their heads a lot. They don't want to hurt people's feelings. They're fearful. But the biggest way you can hurt somebody's feelings is by not telling them the truth. So if
Yeah.
you're dating somebody and you're not into it, it's okay to say like, I've enjoyed my time with you, but I don't think this is going anywhere. And on the flip side, you can say, hi, I've really enjoyed our time together. Is this going okay?
Yeah.
If not, there are other people out there. So
Communicate. Yes.
communication.
Communicate.
Yeah.
So what was your first date like?
It was fun. Our first date's kind of funny because I didn't know if he was picking me up or not. We didn't communicate over that. So I was waiting, and then he was like, "See ya in 25 minutes at the place," and I was like, "Okay, so we're both going there."
Yeah.
So I got into my car, and in the process, my purse flipped over, but I didn't realize it. So when I reached my hand into my purse, my ID wasn't there. None of my cards were there. So I texted him and I was like, I'm going to be late. I have to go find my cards that were in my car. And I had no idea. So I ran up into my apartment, tore everything apart, couldn't find it, grabbed my passport and my credit card because those were my other forms of identification. I was 45 minutes late, but he waited for me to get there. And then we were at a comedy show and it was loud. So we didn't speak at all. We just looked at each
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
and laughed.
Yeah.
And then we were like, well, we didn't get to talk, so should we go somewhere else? And then the only available table was in front of a live band. So then there was another hour where we didn't talk. And then we were finally able to find a place and we talked, and we still like each other to this day. So
Well,
here we go.
good sign. Good
Yeah.
sign. So now the what's funny, I'm laughing because there are a lot of women. In fact, I talked to a friend of mine who had a similar kind of situation. She was running late, got there, he was still there, but she was all upset. And apparently, he didn't say the right thing once she got there. He didn't say anything mean. It was just your normal comment that he made. Well, she got upset and
Mhm.
was telling me about this and decided that, well, he's not the one for me. So she left. They had a short date and then she left and went home. She didn't. I said, well, what? Wait a minute.
I didn't mean to chuckle, but I was like, ma'am, what you just told me is you walked out on a perfectly good date because you were frazzled. And that's
Exactly.
okay. But don't
E-
blame the poor man who's waited 45 minutes for you to arrive.
Exactly. And he maybe didn't say quite the right thing. It wasn't anything mean, but
Yeah.
she told me what he said, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Well, and
And
so there's two sides to that, which I'm thinking like your gut reaction, if it did make you mad, that's probably not going to be the last of his comments. So that's okay. Like in life,
yeah,
he'll probably make similar comments. So if you don't like
yeah,
them, that's fine. You can leave.
yeah,
But
yeah,
also, grain of salt, you got to give people chances.
yeah.
Based on this explanation, he didn't get a chance.
No,
So
no.
oftentimes that's a defense mechanism too. Is she was
It
like,
was,
oh
yeah,
no, he's here still. I was hoping he would
right.
have left type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was some fear in there in her
Yes.
mind, and anyway, so I just thought it was interesting because she had asked somebody else their opinion, and theirs was the same as mine, and she goes, "Oh, I guess I should probably call him back then." I go, "Only if you want to. I mean, did you like him? Did he
Yeah.
seem like a good person to date?" She goes, "Well, yeah, yeah. Well, then what's your problem?" So anyway, I think that at any age, not just older, but
Yeah.
people get their minds in their minds what they're thinking
Hmm.
is going on behind the scenes and make decisions that or try to act too quickly, and you don't need to.
Yeah. And I think too is especially when you're older, there is a certain story about you that you have played in your head over and
Yeah,
over again.
yeah,
And so even if this has happened before, like maybe this was something similar to something
could
she'd
be,
encountered before, if you
could be.
apply, like we said, that past
Yeah,
experience to this one, you're kind of stunting yourself from
right.
even experiencing it. But
Yeah,
Fear is always an interesting one because some people understand it and go, yes, it'll always be there. I just have to continue to act.
work with it.
And
Yes.
other people are like, no, like I'm not going to
Yeah.
push beyond that.
Yeah, I don't have to. I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
and, so not even gonna try.
Mm,
Alright, well, thank you, and, you wanna tell us how they can get a hold of you? And I'll also
sure.
be it'll be in the description, below here, the link to your website if they want to you do your first thing is to set up a introductory.
Yes. So first call with me is always free. It's a 30-minute, I call them exploratory calls where it's just a session for me to get to know you. You kind of get to understand what I offer and if what I offer is in line with what you need. And then from there, if it is something you'd like, you're welcome to sign on with one-on-one coaching on a monthly basis, or I have packages as well. You can find me at liveyourcleverlife.com. If you are on the interwebs or the socials, I'm also on Instagram at Live Your Clever Life. I YouTube will be the same very shortly. I haven't started uploading things yet, but I should have several episodes in the next month or so. The focus of that podcast is focused on morning wake up motivation, things to think about throughout your day to like carry you through with a focus rather than, waking up dreading another Monday or another whatever day it is. Kind of gives you an actionable focus for the day. So if that
Cool.
sounds like something you're into, you know where to find me. And if not, I'm sure you will post it to share.
Thank you, I'm very proud of this young lady. Here, I'm gonna
You're
call
welcome.
her what I normally call her,
Yeah,
but
don't
then
you
that's not
dare.
very professional.
Nor do
So,
I like it normally anyway.
I know. Alright, well, thank you for coming on and helping us old people out with,
You are welcome.
some
I've
mindset stuff.
the experience I've had with you and our family has given me a
Yes.
lot, so it's
Yeah, I
good.
bet. That's why
Uh-huh.
it happened. Alright. Thank you, dear.
Okay.
I'm so glad that I had a chance to get Kaylin on to share her information with you guys. Hopefully, you got a lot out of it. I know that I did. Got some added things that I hadn't thought about before. And I wanted to share one thing that she shared with me after we closed out her interview. The goal of dating should be to find someone that you like and enjoy, not to find someone that likes you. And I love that. I think so many times we go out on a date and we're afraid, we're nervous because we're concerned about what the other person is going to think about us. And your job going out to date should be to be curious, fact finding, get some information about the other person, not in an interrogative way, but in a way of being curious and just wanting to get to know people. We do that with other friends all the time, but as I mentioned before in one of my other videos, when it comes to the opposite sex, we all get crazy and we put up walls and we get nervous. And it doesn't have to be like that. If you want to meet someone, have fun with it. Go out and enjoy the process, and I think it'll make things a lot easier. Thanks again for joining me with It's Never Too Late to Date, and I appreciate you being here. Please like and subscribe and share this information with anybody that you know that may need to hear it. Again, we'll see you in the next video.